Well, we've arrived at the final track that we are going to check. For some reason we decided to check both Brandt Hatch and Silverstone, but we're checking only Monza, leaving Imola completely untouched. Then we went to Barcelona, and now we're here at the Red Bull Ring, which, I mean, you guess, yeah, that makes sense. But, like, I'm not sure why they're just skipping Imola. I guess maybe Swoopy-Doo told them not to? I don't know. I really couldn't fathom why that's just a problem all of a sudden, but here at the Red Bull Ring, the track that started it all, both in UZero and in Time Loop, but it will not be the ending, I guarantee you, because if Paradox or Carbon aren't here now, they're not going to show up after we've passed it. Unless they're dumb. And obviously, if they've run away from us for this long, they must not be that dumb. So, as you look on the starting grid, we have Sonic, Governor, Ryan Storm, Twin Mill, Tyler, myself, Blossom. I am playing as Aleks. That. Red number board, that means it's 63, 64, so 16 Angels. Nitori. Vermelia is here again, and that is it. So yeah, a lot of characters here at Red Bull Ring. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 drivers out of the 20 car field. It's quite a number. Headlights, 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 headlights. Oh, they all have theirs on. Customary TC check to make sure it's on low, because I don't need that much. Unless it's wet. That is for wide, and no thank you. Oh my god, no thank you. Alright, I barely got the Ferrari stopped in time. Considering the Ferrari has the weakest brakes in the GTE category, I'm kind of surprised I did so. Tyler, must you? Now the headlights are off. Okay. I'm gonna not. There's always one group of one pair of cars that just continues to be too wide forever. Figure it out and don't get in my way. Thank you. This is a BMW 123, followed by 2 Aston Martins, and then myself. Ignore that terrible line. No one has to see that or speak of that ever again. I'm gonna do it. God darn it! I couldn't put myself in his way enough. Accelerate! We're good. Aleks has been here way more than you, simple Aston Martin. He knows exactly where he can brake. And you are uneducated in the ways of the Red Bull Ring. Now watch as my ego immediately gets turned around on me and I run into somebody. As I almost self-fulfill the prophecy like 3 seconds after creating it. Because, oh my god, these Aston Martins do not brake very hard. Except for when they do. I'm back! I'm ahead! This doesn't get much more smooth than that one, I don't think. Oh, good! Cornering! And I forgot this isn't F1, you can't just run out there with absolutely no consequence. Yeah, get blocked. I should put an end to this BMW dominion. Does winning this race technically mean anything? No, as long as it's not this yellow BMW. And I will personally make sure that it is not that BMW that does it. I was hoping to put him back there with the Aston Martins. Don't think it's gonna work though. Why are these guys like this? Ah, my nose! Why is my nose like this? This part of the track isn't a straightaway. I'm not done yet! Curb just tried to end both of us right there, but it didn't. Obviously. And the wording of that just kind of reminded me of a almost similar-ish, kind of the same type of series in a way. YouTube series I watched a little bit when, you know, when the videos are made. So I'm not sure what the scheduling is on them, if there really is a scheduling or if it's just like whenever the person can do so. But it's like, it's the battle for Gensokyo. It uses the Mugen? Whatever. Engine. I think it's Mugen. Engine. And people modding different Toho characters into that engine to kind of tell a storyline in a way, almost like what Time Loop does, but much more in depth because it's, you know, actually the characters, and you can verify as such that yes, that is that character on the screen, and not, you know, just assume that some guy named Aleks is driving this car, or just assume that that's Bubbles in that BMW up there and not some random AI name that the game came up with. No, I assure you it is a Powerpuff Girl driving a race car. Suspension of disbelief is definitely required. And like, as I watch the series, I kind of tend to notice, like, it's a remotely interesting storyline. Like, some sort of, like, queen alien invades Fantasyland, which is the literal translation of Gensokyo. So I usually just call it that at this point, because it's easier to refer to that to somebody as what that is, as opposed to that weird Japanese word. Looks like I'm going for another win record here. I'm already getting quite a bit of a ways away from Sonic back there. But the basic idea is like that evil queen invades, and the various Toho characters defeat her. Well, she gets like reincarnated by her own dislike towards the people that just defeated her, and literally becomes a clone of Reimu, the one that, you know, did her in. So just becomes some sort of like hate clone, and decides to just try again. And she has these like minions based off of the other characters. It's basically like the evil clone thing. Like we haven't seen this 100 times before. But what I often look at when like the game, the scenes are literally just like the different characters standing around with some level in the background because it's taken in-game in like training mode or something like that. But the characters are still in their idle animations for when they're in a fight because it's taken in-engine. So there's no talking. The only reason you know there's any kind of communication going on is because there's little white subtitles in the bottom of the screen. And I can clearly tell the guy making these videos, his English is not his first language. And some of the grammar is not easy to understand. I can't really name an example without looking directly at a video, which I cannot do because I am busy doing this. If me from later can be bothered, I may link an episode, probably the first one, of this Battle for Gensokyo series in the description. Don't hold me to that though, because I will probably forget. Oh, someone turned out the lights. Or be it that it is already 6 in the morning. Probably be too tired to care about doing that. Sudden plunge into darkness. But yeah, so they have interesting grammar, but it's just good enough to where I can understand what they meant, which I guess is all that matters. But most of the dialogue between all these characters, good, evil, or in between, mostly can be summed up as the hero saying, "I will defeat you," the bad guy saying, "You will not or you cannot defeat me," or the hero saying to other heroes to not screw up. And obviously it's like other basic things that'll happen. I mean, like if the actual hero, good person wins, then really they just like next scene usually, or if not that, then the scene that transitions into the next battle. But usually if the bad guy wins, which does happen in individual in-game fights, the clone of the character does win. I would say it's like a 40-60 split to them winning, so it's not like it's even that rare. It happens relatively often. And it's basically just, every time they win, their only real quote is basically, "You are worthless." Like, they're pretty much the equivalent of like that like 14-year-old kid on a shooter game that puts their username as like, "Haha, I killed you," or "Get pwned," or "You're worthless, lol," and just, so it just says like, "Killed by, you got pwned, 61, and it's like, okay. And that's basically what the villains, or the evil clones, or just really any, villain, antagonist will do literally every time. When they win, it's just like, "You are worth nothing to me," or "You are not even worth my effort," or generic edgy thing because all of these evil characters are wearing black and red, so they may as well be teenage girl versions of Shadow the freaking Hedgehog. And it's kind of laughable in a way, just because it's so painfully overbearingly simple, but it's also like, I don't know, like, I can't say I'm not interested in what happens, just because, I don't know, it's got a little bit of unpredictability to it, the background events, not actually the normal events, like, this match has come to this conclusion, but it is I mean, well, the matches themselves can be entertaining, but it's like the outcome of the matches doesn't usually seem to matter. Obviously, the person is scripting these videos in a sense. I imagine you can toggle individual AI difficulties, or maybe give an AI a handicap. Because I remember one time where this, like, it was like episode 10 or something, this, like, no, it was 12, this, like, prime robot enemy just, like, beat the crap out of, like, 4 people, one of which was pretty good and a pretty effective character in the series up to that point. They had 3 allies, and they all just got waxed by this one thing. And then here comes another character who, mind you, had done basically nothing the whole series up to that point, in the 3 or 4 appearances they had had. And they literally just 1v1 the super bad, like, big bad robot, and win, like, 2 rounds to 0, like, 60% health. And I'm like, where in the world did this come from? But I'm looking at the match and I'm seeing, like, the hits that pretty much took, like, half a health, half the health bar. Like a combo that took, like, half of one of the previous 4 people's health bars. It did, like, 7-8% to this person. And mind you, like, they were doing some kind of lengthy combos, too. The AI, like the evil robot thing was. And then here comes the main, or the, you know, the good guy landing like a 3-hit combo and doing like 16% damage. Which I think, like, that'd be normal damage numbers in Mortal Kombat. Not in this. Like, they would land like 5 hits and end the combo with a projectile of some kind, and they would take like a quarter of its health away. And I'm just like, hello? They got a little more subtle with it as the series progressed, but I still noticed, like, these big fights generally had each individual character have, like, a little more health. And I think part of it might be to draw, like, make tension because the match is going on for longer. But that then just means that it's just easier for one character to just get a bunch of damage early and just snowball that until they win. And that's exactly what kind of happened here. The good guy with their apparent health buff and very different behaving AI just, like, smoked this robot. Like, it was barely even close. That the same robot that just defeated, you know, 4 entire characters, might I remind you. And ever since that point in time, that character has been defeated once. And then, when that defeat happened, which is, like, I think the series is kind of hitting its climax right now, around episode 15, the latest one that they've done. And they basically had this admittedly kind of cool sequence, especially considering which character it was. Where, like, this empowered, not even evil clone, it's a brainwashed, actual character was brainwashed, kidnapped, captured, that's the same word right here. Captured, brainwashed with, like, some sort of black magic, apparently. And became, like, an obedient evil slave. Where have we ever seen this before, right? And 1v2s these 2 characters. And then the villain starts monologuing, like, haha, you couldn't hope to defeat me, I am way stronger than you, even though I'm literally the same character I was before. Just, now I'm wearing red. And using a scythe, which I guess, in a sense, makes them not the same character, but it's not the point. My My throat keep up with me a bit here so I don't overload it while commentating, since I'm doing multiple episodes in a row. Yeah, and it was just like this this monologue plays out, and these like empty threats from the evil clone of like, there will be nothing left of you to recover, generic idle threats, villain evil things to say, just got like the entire villain handbook next to them. And she said some sort of like trigger word, basically of saying like, this is the example of the bad grammar. It was like, soon you will leave them soon. She like says directly to the one conscious good guy, like, you will leave them all soon, and then play like 4 other previous scenarios where some other good guy what's the fog again? Where some other good guy told this person, like, now don't fail and leave us all. They're basically just saying, don't be killed while you're doing this. And that just basically, that's like the safe word, and as soon as the evil person has said this, that's when suddenly, like, you say run, My Hero Academia anime comeback mode just kicks in, and the protagonist goes, in their own words, time to go into serious mode. And, like, mind you, it was a 4-minute monologue in between these 2 rounds, and there is a very noticeable difference in just how much damage is being dealt between these 2 characters. Not like the first match was X number of damage per hit. The second match was Y number of damage, and that Y was considerably higher than X for both sides. Or wait, no, other way around. X damage was much higher in the first match than the amount of damage they were dealing to each other in the second go. Which, you mean, yeah, that does make sense, but like, if it's literally the same character we saw 5 minutes ago, and nothing visually or physically changed about them other than them declaring, I'm going to try now, which also gives the idea of, like, if now you're choosing to go super serious mode, like, why weren't you just doing that in the first place? Like, the mythological beings in Toho really don't have, you know, human limitations on them. Like, a character like Sakuya or Nidori or Suwako don't even have to sleep if they don't want to. You're about to tell me that this character is, like, conserving their power or something? Like, no, get that rat dropping out of here. Like, that's not a thing they have to concern themselves with. They should be going full tilt against all of these enemies, and I guess... Okay, so in this scenario, I guess they're operating off the idea that, you know, if we're trying to help this other character go back to normal, maybe don't destroy/kill them. But if that was the problem in the first place, then why'd you do it at all? Like... I mean, I guess for survival, I suppose. That would basically have to be it. Also, this was taking a very similar pattern to the previous one. Pandemonium for the first couple of laps, but as soon as I get out ahead of my opponents, it is an absolute washout. this one even worse than before, and we've still got 2 more laps of racing to do. Yeah, so I was just like looking at this and it was just like, okay, so even outside of whatever plot trope or whatever we decide to place on, now I'm serious, or this like playtime is over, like upstart that the main character just suddenly had. How in-game is this working? And I would have to assume it's an increase in AI difficulty and some sort of handicap that gave both characters additional health or resistance. Because in the first round, the good guy was just like being tossed around like an absolute ragdoll. Probably like, I guess like, to push the idea that this cloned evil version of one of the characters is so all-powerful there's no hope in heck of beating it. But then come the second round and like the character that does this isn't exactly weak, but they're no Reimu or Marissa. They're not really ones known for being this like triumphant hero. If anything, they're like chaotic neutral. As I think, like, most characters that aren't protagonists in Toho are. And we begin the final lap. Wrong gear. And so, like, not to mention, yeah, so there's also the obvious difference in how much damage they're taking. But also, at no point in the first round did either of the protagonists use any super moves. But in the second round, within like 16, like maybe 15, 20 seconds, out comes like 2 super moves in a row in the same combo. And I'm like, you were not doing that before. That previous match would have gone way different if they were just doing that in the first place. And I know they're not actually playing the game, kind of like what I did with UZero, because there's a different overlay that appears for like, there's like a little thing above the player's head that says like P1, and that never even prompts. So under no circumstance are they actually playing the game. So it's not like they can just basically say like, alright, now I'm gonna do it, and show the AI up in this character that just like lost to its own AI. Because these Mugen mods, the creator of the mod has to individually program the AI, and obviously not all of them are created equal. So that would be one way that they could do it. Also, what a lap for the final lap of the race. One thing that made that character that got waxed in the one before so powerful is that they were using their super moves pretty much whenever they felt like it. And that meant they were able to control the crowds of opponent characters when it was like a 1 or 2v4, like 2 good guys versus like 4 little like munchkin robots. And they would come out with handicap victories that way. But then her doing that along with 3 allies couldn't beat the one robot that the other person, the same person with the whole super serious mode idea, which I guess you could also say is like, you know, that's why they were able to defeat the big robot in the first place when they were doing nothing the other 2 times they showed up in the series. I don't know, maybe there's... I obviously didn't ask because a real magician never reveals their secrets and all of that hullabaloo. I didn't go into the pits, oops. This is why I don't watch too much, like, TV, to be honest, because I would just spend most of the time just, like, nitpicking failed plot lines and little minor details that most people wouldn't notice, because that's just kind of how I operate. I analyze literally everything and make sure or not make sure, you know, like, I just put so much effort into making fun of what the thing is that I don't even focus on the entertainment value of it sometimes. Especially when said thing I'm watching, maybe something like Phineas and Ferb or the Powerpuff Girls, where it's clearly not supposed to be a lifelike or even remotely realistic setting. And obviously I wouldn't question the bare bones things like, how are these little kindergartners able to fly? Like, well, yes, explained in universe why that is. But I would question something like one sequence they're able to lift this incredibly heavy thing, but the next they can barely lift something significantly lighter. Yeah, so, another, like, pretty much podcast episode in the books. The same top two behind me as before, so really not much changed throughout the whole race, I don't think. Yeah, I would say I was faster.